Hello, bonjour, Calgary. Did you know that at least 238,000 people speak Français in Alberta and that 90,000 live right here in Calgary? Oui, oui, c'est vrai. It's true. And now, thanks to Shaw Community Access Programming, we get to reach out to everyone to let you know all about our special people, places, events, and activities happening in this fair city in both English and en français. That's right, mes amis. We begin the first part of our program in English and then we repeat it en français. So stay with us. Today we're chatting with Inouk Touzin, who is the artistic director and founder of Théâtre. Welcome.
Merci. Hi, Anne.
So, Inouk, tell us a little bit about how you came about to be involved with the Théâtre.
I was originally invited to move to Calgary almost 5 years ago from Ottawa. By Mariette Rainville, who was at the time the general manager for RAFA, which is the Regroupement Artistique Francophone de l'Alberta, to come in and revitalize French language theatre in Calgary. So that's how I got to Calgary. I'd been living in Saskatoon many years before that, for about 4 years. So I knew about Calgary, and as an artist, as a theatre artist, I was always interested in finding out how come that city doesn't have its own professional French language theatre scene yet. Because there's a French theatre company in Vancouver, in Edmonton, in Saskatoon, in Winnipeg, in Sudbury, Toronto. Like, you go across the country and they're everywhere, but not Calgary.
Not in Calgary.
And so when the offer came, I jumped on it. And it was a pleasure to come here and discover this booming city. I mean, I got here in 2008, height of the boom.
Yes.
Just, a year before everything started going, uh-oh. And so I made my home here and started to revitalize French theatre, which meant, presenting shows, developing a relationship with the Anglophone theatre companies, and trying to gather some artists around this project. And
your background, tell us a little bit about
Sure.
you.
I've studied theatre at the University of Ottawa in French. I'm a francophone to start with, and so I've been working for the past 15 years in French language theatre across the country as an actor, playwright, director, facilitator, educator. I've done a lot of lighting design. I've done a little bit of everything in theatre.
But always in theatre.
Always in theatre, always in French. I have worked also in English a little bit, but my main focus has always been, I feel very strongly about my French language culture, and especially the fact that I'm from outside of Quebec. And so being in that dynamic where there's an English language majority that often thinks, yeah, we're English and then French is Quebec or sometimes Acadia, right? So I've always been in that dynamic of saying, well, actually, no, French exists everywhere in Canada, and it really is a big inspiration point for me to want to share my culture with Anglophones so that everyone can have access to French language culture, because I feel it's such a wonderful and different and positive addition to any Canadian person to discover that.
You're right. And how do you go from just arriving in Calgary and having a production like Cowboy Poetry that you just were able to
I was directing that, and we produced it. It was our first professional show, so that's quite exciting for us at Théâtre. The step, I guess, the important step is that after 1 year of revitalizing French language theatre, the hot potato of who's going to take care of this thing started being passed around to different organizations. And when I saw that happen, I went, oh, geez, if we don't have someone that's really committed to making this happen, it's just kind of going to go around the little sinkhole and just fall through the cracks, right? So I gathered some friends and other artists, notably my president, since the very beginning, has been my gung-ho artistic partner in this adventure, Marcia Mayou. And then a few other people, Ashraf Khoury, Benjamin Klein, and Julien Thibault at the time. We were kind of the group that originally moved forward on this. And so I suggested to them that we should start our own theater company. This is the second theater company I found. In Ottawa, I helped another colleague to start one and incorporate and blah, blah, blah. So I knew a little bit the
way to go,
paperwork,
where to start,
and how it all...
How to get some money.
Exactly. The seed funding issue was a big deal too. But then I suggested to them that we should do a co-op, a non-profit French language theater cooperative, because I'm a strong believer in the cooperative movement. And by the way, this year is the International Year of Cooperatives.
Oh,
I think it's our 100th anniversary or something like that. So that's an extra little celebration that we've got this year. And so why a co-op? Because...
So a co-op of theaters, right?
A co-op of artists,
okay,
and a co-op as a non-profit organization that's a service co-op. We're offering to the general population French language theater, which is a product.
Okay.
So people, by becoming a member of the co-op, have access to better rates to come see our plays, or have access to, you know, exclusive opportunities. For example, meeting some artists, or, you know, that's always kind of going forward with that, is how do you add value to the membership. But the founding idea was that as a co-op, also, if I invest my time and my energy now to create this theater company,
you get something back.
I get something back. I get work. But also, if one day I move on to something else, then ideally, through the time that I'm here, I create a community around the project. And that's something that a co-op can do. Rather than it being Inouk Touzin Theater Company, it's something that can be collective, and that can be a continuing good, so for the community. And so we're a nonprofit, which means we have access to government funding. And that's kind of how we offer different areas of programming. And in the first year, it was quite a challenge because there was no money for the first year. So it was kind of like, how do we keep this going? But I need to eat. And so, you know, that the challenging part was definitely a great learning experience. And I'm glad it's behind me, because now we do have project funding from Canadian Heritage, which allows me to be hired by the company and to offer a whole bunch of different interesting programming.
And are you the only employee?
For now, I am the only employee.
So you do the admin as well as the artistic directing?
Yes, and so that means I choose which plays we bring in, I negotiate contracts, I rent the halls where we play, I'm in charge of marketing, I have to hire technicians to set up and strike when we have a show. I hire actors when I'm directing a show. I hire a stage manager, but those are all short-term contracts, right? They're project-oriented. And also, you know, lighting, the whole kit, right? And then it goes from that to writing the grants, to reports, to the accounting, to everything.
Wow.
So it's a big challenge for sure. I'm lucky I'm well equipped to do it. I've had lots of experiences in my life that have brought me the skills I need to do this. But I really hope going forward we can grow the company, we can get some sponsorship from corporations and individuals, and move towards a second employee that could be in charge of the administration part, so I can really focus on the artistic.
Yes. You told me a little earlier when we were chatting before the show that you offer other services as well, not just productions, but also some different services to the community.
So when we were looking at our strategic planning, we decided to do this the adult way and have a plan and not follow it completely, because that's how life is. And so we included in that some artistic education activities. I have a fairly extensive background in artistic education. I've been giving workshops in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, as well as across the country for the past 20 years. And so that's something I love doing. I feel it's so rich to be in contact with the next generation and to be really there with the emotional and creative energy that we can find in schools. And if I can make a pitch for artistic education, it's that I really think it's important to add to our basic numeracy and literacy a third leg to our stool so it'll actually stop wobbling and falling all over the place, which is creativity. I think each human being is creative, and we have to nurture that and to definitely do everything in our power to make that bloom, because if we have more creative people, we'll have so many solutions to today's and tomorrow's problems. So we do this with improv workshops, theater workshops in schools. I've taught clown, I've taught mask work, mime. So all that kind of package is definitely a big offer for schools, and I've found there are many takers both in the Francophone school system, because we teach in French, as well as the immersion schools or private schools in Calgary. I've found there's so much interest for this. It's quite unbelievable. I've even had a group come in from Golden, British Columbia, all the way to Calgary to have a workshop with us. So they moved 24 people to just come for an afternoon and do this.
Oh, really nice.
So,
what age groups usually?
I find from grade 4 and up, it's possible to do some quite interesting things. It's harder with the younger children because their attention span is much shorter, and so, you know, I have to do something in 20 minutes. Right, from start to finish, including warm-ups.
Lots of creativity, but not too much.
And it's not so much in depth. So for that age group, what I prefer doing is working with the teachers and giving workshops to teachers and school boards so that I can give them tools and ideas of what to do with their group, and they can manage it quite well. And I can come in, obviously, but I find the payoff is more interesting for grade 4 and up. And, you know, high school kids are a typical example of a super responsive group to our events. We also do another community outreach event, is our improv. We have a monthly French improv event at Café Koi. So
where is Café Koi?
Café Koi is 1011 First Street Southwest. Okay. So it's right downtown, near the Calgary Tower kind of thing, just south of the CP rail line. And it's a little cafe. It's quite comfortable little spot. It's not too big. And every French language improv, the last Wednesday of the month, from 9 to 11 p.m. So that's a really fun little discovery. I've had a lot of people just kind of walk in and discover it, and stay and stick around and laugh. Even though they might not understand French, we gesticulate a lot. There's a lot of sound, and so it's quite accessible.
And how many people usually do you get to participate in the improv?
Well, I have a core group. At first I had like about 12 improvisers that would come. Then I had some people move away, some people lose interest, which is quite normal. So now what I'm starting to do, and it's kind of a treat I give myself, is Marcia and I, my president, the other actor in the troupe, Marcia and I will do a one-on-one improv for a little bit to start things off, and then we'll bring in other people from the audience. There's some people that have been with us for a while, so we bring them in, and then we play 3-on-3 or 2-on-2 or 4-on-4, depending on how many people are there and want to come up.
Great. Well, Inouk, it's all the time we have. I thank you so much for being with us. And for everyone, please stay with us, because we're going to be continuing this fabulous interview with Inouk en français in just a few minutes.